Hey, everybody. Glad to have you with us today. Doc, we're going to talk about Revelation 13. You said we've had several people with questions about some of the things in there. So,
Well, you know, people are always talking about, who do you think the Antichrist is? Well, you know,
all they got to do is ask me. I'll tell them.
both of our picks are struggling, but still in the.
Yeah.
But everybody's got an idea, and since the election of Trump, re-election Trump, I've had all kinds of emails and text and phone calls from preachers mainly, you know, thinking, well, is this who it is? Is this what it is? And,
Well, you know, I did put something in the Daniel Study Guide. I put a picture in there, and I think that's right before chapter. No, it's all right. Here it's right at the chapter 11. The future of Israel. I have a picture of something like from Israel. They got Cyrus, King Cyrus, and Trump side by side.
well, they got a coin.
They got a coin. The coin's
Yeah, I've got
on here.
one in my office in there.
Yeah, I think I have one too. But
him on one side and Cyrus on the other.
I think Brother Smith sent us both one.
I think that's right. Yeah. Thank you, Brother Smith.
I'm hoping it's worth a bunch of money someday.
Brother Smith sends us good things all the time. Amen.
Yeah, and he'll send me a message, Brother Goodwin, you got time to talk?
Amen.
And I know that usually means 45 minutes.
That's good, but he's always got some.
And I try to. I wish I
insights.
could record some of them conversations because he's off his. He's real. He's nice to talk to when he knows there's not a camera going.
Yeah.
When there's a camera going, it affects him a little bit.
Yeah.
But he tries to be scripted, and he feels like he can't do it without notes.
Yeah. No, you're right.
He does it over the phone.
But he's been a blessing to us. I'm glad that we are friends.
So there's a lot of interesting things about Cyrus and Donald Trump. And I didn't go into detail in the Daniel Study Guide, but I did. There's a lot about Cyrus that's interesting. Yeah. And he's the one that gave them back their homeland and helped them with the temple and the walls.
Right.
Gave them permission to do that.
There's so many things that are parallels.
Yeah.
Let's read that verse here in chapter 12. And
13,
verse number
13, right?
I had it 13.
There you go.
And verse number 3, and he said, "And I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast." And so there's all kinds of speculation out there. You know, you're like me, if you read any of these older commentaries, of course, they were a long way back with very little light. We're up here front, and we got a lot of light.
Yeah.
And but some of the commentaries will say, well, that's talking about the Germanic kingdom or Germany, because Germany they were wounded. They were as dead. And now here they are back again, and they think that's the Antichrist. Here's the thing, I believe, you got always, and you know this as well as anybody, you got context that's going to tell you what you're talking about. And the context is about the beast or the kingdom.
Yeah.
Now,
you can't separate the man from his kingdom.
It isn't. But in some instances, it is separated, because this is the context is of that final beast system, and so we often say, well, the beast is the Antichrist. Well, you can't separate the one from the other, because the Antichrist is going to rule the Antichrist kingdom. But in this instance, this is talking about that beast system, and it's going to appear dead. And so a lot of people are saying, well, Trump was politically, Trump was dead.
Yeah.
He got killed politically. We know it was, we know what had happened really, but anyway. And so all of a sudden, miraculously, man, he's come back more powerful and strong, and all the world is wondering after him.
Way more powerful than the first time.
Way more powerful. And You can tie that with 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, and when they shall say peace and safety, then cometh the sudden destruction upon them. And so it would be easy for us to say, well, this is talking about Trump. But I think it's talking about the beast system. And what happened last time when Mr. Trump was president? The beast system of globalism that was going 90 miles an hour down the track, had that in 2016 turned the other way, we'd already be in that one world kingdom right now.
Yeah. And that has to be the hand of God.
It had to be the hand of God. And I think it's because all the other prophecies that are all running together with this final beast, we're not ready.
Yeah.
But it's pretty obvious. So many. Just the other day, that fall of Damascus, the setting of the stage in that area over there. So many things. The financial markets, the crypto.
Yeah.
I mean, it hit a unbelievable.
It went over 100,000.
Oh, unbelievable! And yet, this is the system that Trump is working at, moving us to an electronic. Everybody thinks that was Biden's fault. I'm here to tell you, Trump's every bit as much for an electronic money as anybody is. Yeah. And so, what happened in 2016? The freight train of globalism, and even some of the globalist leaders said, our cause is dead. But during the Biden administration, what happened? Man, I mean, they stoked the engine back and it went roaring down the tracks again. Mm-hmm. And here's the final beast system is setting itself up, I think. Now, this is my take on it. It could be a mile off, I don't know. But my take is that this is not talking about just a man having a wound. This is talking about the beast system. Mm-hmm. And I think the beast system under Trump is going to appear. I want to make sure I make that straight. It's going to appear. But I am not sold that Mr. Trump is all that everybody thinks he is in this matter. And I think there's going to come a time, I don't know if he's the leader of this final kingdom or not, but under his leadership, this final kingdom had the brakes put on it once again. And I think it's because all the other prophecies are not quite in position, but boy, are they close to happening.
You know, he was that far from that bullet
That's
killing
right.
him had he not turned his head.
That's right.
I mean, that just can't just be coincidence.
I'm confident that's one of the ministering angels has accomplished that.
He talks about that lady that put the slide up on the screen. Mm-hmm. He said, I love that lady. Tried to get her to come out. She didn't want no applause. But he talked about that many times.
But I realize how we can speculate and we can see things and say, well, because his political career was dead, now it's alive again. He's wounded as if it was dead, but it's alive again. And he had this physical wound, and he's back again. I think it's easy for us to see. But Dan, I'm convinced that in the context, this is talking about the system.
Yeah. Yeah, and there will be a man who oversees, just like a man oversaw Babylon.
That's
but
right.
Babylon was this. He was the head of gold, but he was also that wild beast.
Yeah.
It's a system, but it has a
It doesn't
person
matter who it is. One of the reasons why I don't think it's Mr. Trump himself, because of his age. He's the same age I am, basically. I think he's maybe a few months older than I am. I don't think it's because if he's the Antichrist, I believe he's going to be a younger man, because Christ wasn't a 77-year-old man.
Yeah, that's the one thing that baffles me too.
Yes,
Christ was 30 when he came on the scene.
Yeah,
thereabouts. In fact, it says when he was about 30.
Right. And just as Christ until that time was kind of secluded and nobody had any idea about it, I really do think that the leader Antichrist over the evolving Antichrist system that we're living in is probably more of a secluded individual ready to step onto that stage.
Yeah.
Now, that's my thoughts about it. But I don't think, and I realize how easy it is to look at all of these circumstances and read into it without looking at the actual
Now,
context.
We wouldn't say that Cyrus is a type of the Antichrist, would we?
No, I don't think so.
I think Trump fits a Cyrus.
Yes.
I think it's a different.
I think it's a
being
different
altogether
matter
here.
altogether. Well, it's very obvious the parallels that are there, they're not only striking or just coincidental. They
The
almost
Antichrist
seem
is
to
going
be
to
God
hate
ordained.
Israel. He's not. He's faking his friendship with Israel. Trump's not faking.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Some of his children are married to Jews.
Yeah, I don't. That's another reason I don't think Mr. Trump has that. But I can see how the system is once again you're going to watch it for a while. It's going to slow down. That movement of a one world, because America, even though there's all kinds of other places trying to rise up here, America is still the dominant leader of the world.
And he hasn't made it to the White House yet.
No, that's true.
Anything could happen between now and January 20th. I mean,
sometimes I read an article about his bold statement or what he's going to do. I'm thinking, man, I wish he just would keep it to himself until he finally gets in there. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, but and people said same thing about his tweets, and I always say, well, look, he became what he is by those tweets.
Yeah.
Leave him alone.
Well, this
let
is
him
who
be
he
himself.
This is who he is, and you're not going to change that. And I'm not so sure we really want to change it.
He won the majority of the vote.
Oh,
That's
by far.
That hadn't happened in decades.
Yeah. No.
And being who he is, he did that.
And he has the ability, like Sunday. I read a clip earlier while my wife was in the doctor's office, so I was waiting for her, and I was reading a news clip, and he was interviewed yesterday on a major NBC thing, very hostile, and he has the ability to say, look, that's nasty, and you're wrong, and just he can take control no matter where he's at.
Yeah. All right. Well, exciting days, folks. We know we're at the end. There's no doubt the Sabbath is just months or years away. We're not sure. By the Sabbath, I mean the 1,000-year kingdom age. That is the seventh day of Genesis 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. And God will not be late for the Sabbath, I promise you.
Amen.
He punished Israel for messing up the Sabbath. God is not going to. Look, on that seventh day, God had finished his work
and he
rested.
Yep.
And on the 6,000th year, at the end of it, God will rest. The world will rest. The cosmos, whatever you want to call it. The world's going to have its rest for 1,000 years.
A restored earth.
Yeah, and it's coming. And now, where are we on the clock? I mean, depending on which calendar you look at, we're past. Well, we can't be past. We know that. They started the calendar at the wrong place. And we know that somewhere around 30, 31 AD, somewhere in there, is the New Testament church age clock beginning there. And so you can do the math in your head, right?
Yeah.
We're close. And then, you got to decide, is the tribulation during the church age or is it after? I got my opinions on that. We'll do a show on that in the future. But we're at the end of this thing. Make sure you're ready to meet Jesus, because it's coming and it's coming soon. But until then, keep your eyes on them skies.